What's up, Changemakers? Dia Nyarko here, the co-founder and executive director of JLD Community Solutions. I am back with another special edition of our JLD Storytellers series, and today I am here with the beautiful Antionette Kerr, who is the CEO and publisher of Davidson Local, a hyper-local media outlet in the Davidson-Davie area in Lexington, North Carolina. Now, Antionette was also a former board member of JLD Community Solutions, so this makes this interview extra special. So, Antionette, how are you doing today?
I am well. It's so great to be on your podcast. I am following and really love everything that you all are doing in our community, and was honored to be invited to be a board member. And I'm still a huge fan and supporter any way that I can be, in any way that I can show up. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to be one of your special storytellers. Storytelling is close to my heart. It's always been close to my heart. And Dia, your gift of encouragement just makes me smile. So if you're having a down day, you need to watch Dia's podcast.
Oh, I appreciate that. I tell you, and I don't know that you realize it, but that you are also a ball of energy, that your presence creates like just smiles as well. So I just want you to know
Sweet.
that your
Sometimes I feel
presence
like the
does the
struggle
same.
is real. It's so real right now that I just have to call people and be like, say something good at this moment, especially working in
Yes.
media.
Yes.
So thank you for, like, I could hear your smile through the phone, and they tell you that you should smile when you're on the phone. But it's been a lot lately. So I love just hearing your smile through the phone. Thank you for taking time. And also, this is our 4-year anniversary. So thank you for being here and present and always supportive of Davidson Local.
Well, and speaking of 4-year anniversaries, yes, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. So, in celebrating your 4-year anniversary, what initially inspired you to launch this hyperlocal independent news network?
Well, I started out as an intern back in 1995 at the Dispatch in Lexington, which at the time it was owned by New York Times, and fell in
Mm.
love with journalism. And at that time, it was a real community newspaper. That people might not know, the Dispatch helped found the barbecue festival. We were
Wow.
always doing community things, but I loved journalism. And so I went to the publisher at the time. And when I was in high school, I didn't know what a publisher was or what a publisher did.
Mm-hmm.
But the publisher is the business owner, part of that. And I said, I'll do whatever. I ended up answering phones in circulation, but the reporters in the newsroom would let me pull things off the fax machine. So I
Mm-hmm.
literally got it hot off the fax machine and
That's
would
so cool.
deliver it to the reporters. And I bugged them. Like, there's one reporter, Jill, who's still there now, and I would literally bug Jill and be like, "What are you going to do? What are you going to say? How do you say it?" And so this idea of storytelling and
Mm-hmm.
community journalism
Yes.
really started there, and I continued to freelance even through my nonprofit work, and wrote a book about modern media relations for nonprofits. But
Wow.
knew that I wanted to own a publication. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
sure what that would look like, when it would happen. But I'll tell you when it actually really happened for me and co-founder Cassandra Lockhart. My mom was in a nursing care community that had a COVID outbreak.
Mm.
And during that COVID outbreak, the local media source, did not provide an opportunity to report on the fact that people were finding out that their loved ones were passing from the
Wow.
hospital. They didn't know they had COVID because, they shut down nursing homes at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go in. And I thought, okay, so with COVID happening, now is the time for a digital publication. People are looking for information.
Yes.
My mom couldn't leave her nursing care facility. So some of the things we covered or the lives that we did was her only resource to a local outside world when her nursing care community shut down. So I thought, okay, now's the time. And that's when we got started.
Wow. And I can only imagine, having to, in starting the publication around that time and happen to also report on incidents that you are experiencing, like to be amongst the community and also have to report about the community. I can only imagine how that has to feel or work, if you will.
It's always, it hasn't changed. I mean, as an intern, I started reporting on. I did the cops beat, and a lot of interns start there, where I would have to go and report. And Dia, sometimes you have to report about friends, family. Community journalism is community journalism. And I went to a old school. I was on the cusp of the traditional journalism style. So, even if it's you, I expect people to report about me. And I accept that as a journalist, and it has happened. So it's a real thing. But community journalism is like, you actually know the people. It makes you accountable to people, because you will get a phone call from your mom or your dad or your grandma, and she'd be like, you did not spell her name correctly and you better fix it. So, or she didn't, she doesn't like that. And, it was so, accountability is good. We, as journalists, I tell people all the time, with this First Amendment, journalists are one of the few protected institutions in the Constitution, freedom of the press. But with it comes great responsibility. And I take that very seriously. So.
Well, and I know this is off the actual questions that I actually prepared, but with you saying that, I'm interested to hear what your perspective is, especially knowing now that we are under an administration who is actually going against the freedom that we are supposed to have with media and press according to the Constitution. I'm interested just to hear what your initial thoughts are about that.
Well, so not to be political, I will say that every president has expressed in some way, shape, or form that they have had an adverse relationship with the media.
Okay.
So they call the media, or we call ourselves the fourth estate in government, because nobody, and I have great relationships with like Mayor Jason Hayes. I think he is, an amazing person who tries to be very transparent. But I have to sometimes report things that he might not like, or city council members that they might not like. I try not to be a gotcha journalist, because I don't, that's just not my personality. But I will let them know I'm about to report something.
Yeah.
You're not going to like it. Would you like to go on record about it? Because that's what accountability is for. But so no administration likes the media. They probably all wish we would not, wish we would go away. This is a very unique situation.
Yeah, I see.
This unprecedented, threat. There are some unprecedented threats to the media that did not exist before. And also, this has been lining up for a long time. So I don't just blame the current administration. I've been talking about supporting local journalism and how we were disappearing for more than a decade.
Wow.
Because, more than 90% of the media that's owned is owned by 5 billionaires, no matter what name you see on it coming from the outside. So it's been in the works for a long time. And state-owned media, which is a scary thought, we're the only barrier. Independently owned media is the only challenge. I've worked for every major, well, not every, but most major publication sources or owners. I've worked for Gatehouse, Gannett, Halifax, New York Times, under some subsidiary. And you can just have somebody push a button and tell you what you can and can't say and what you do. So, I know a lot of folks are more aware now of the
Yeah.
challenges, but that has been going on behind the
Ah.
scenes for a long time.
Okay. Very, very different and good perspective to have because, being on the outside looking in, you're like, what in the world? But someone who's been living this life for as many years as you have, you can say, well, this is nothing new under the sun.
Not new. It's scary, and it's been going on.
Yes,
I wrote a
yes.
column and I tried to find it, but it's gone. It said, "You don't know what you got till it's gone." And I
Yeah.
like the Janet Jackson version of that song, just so
Me
y'all
too.
know if you're listening. But you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And I've I've written a column about that more than a decade ago to say local journalism impacts your day-to-day life, everything you do every day, from taking out your trash to picking up your mail to
Mm-hmm.
um, turning on your water is
Mm-hmm.
impacted by local news. So these national
Yeah.
sources are not going to report on, increasing water bills or tell you that
Yes.
there's a proposal that, you need to check on, you know, these changes with our water quality.
Mm-hmm.
That's what local journalism does. And I'm a print journalist, so I'm somewhat biased. I did radio work for a while for public news service just because I wanted to know if that would be a path for me, but I'm a print girl. I'm a print nerd. So,
That's your jizz.
but
That's your thing.
that's my jam. That's my jam. But just coming in and like people want to be on television, but
Uh-huh.
they're not going to come to talk about the everyday, what people would consider mundane. But that is the most important thing in
Important.
your life.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
your child goes to school,
Yeah.
the road you drove on to get them
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening every day, and people are
Yep.
making decisions about that every day.
And just even, talking about the beauty of local journalism and Davidson Local specifically, your publication is one of the only or is the only news source translating content in Spanish in the Lexington area. So I mean, like, that's a huge thing.
We want to do more of that. So, but again, we're mostly volunteer driven and volunteer led,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
we would like to do more of that. And we've been having conversations with people within the Latino community. And one of the things I learned early on is that when I would talk to folks in my family who speak
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, primarily that was their first language, they said, slow down. I'm translating everything you say in my mind. And there are words in the English language that don't exist in Spanish.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, wow, I didn't think about it, that there are words that don't even exist. So
Yeah.
a real translator, not Google translation.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, Google Universe, if you're listening, because I Google a lot. But to think and know that there are words that we have that don't exist
Yeah.
in another language, and our population, which we knew the trajectory of the population, that they in particular in Lexington, for example, are the largest
Mm-hmm.
minority group. When there was a shooting at a birthday party, a child's birthday party,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in the Latino community, I got a press release and I thought, why isn't this translated in Spanish? Because folks know where folks are. The word on the street is
Yes.
this
Yep.
thing.
We know that's over
So
there in that neighborhood over there.
you know where people are. And this particular person, they had like kidnapped a pastor, broken a church. I mean, they just went on a spree.
Wow.
Allegedly, I think I'm not sure if they were convicted or not, so I'm going to put allegedly. Went on a spree. But we were getting all weekend reports about this in English. And I thought, what you need to do is give me this in Spanish So
Yeah.
we hired someone to translate that for us because we were like, if we're really looking for this person, people on the streets know.
That's
And
it.
jokingly, Davidson Local, when we first started, people were calling us the DL.
The
And
DL.
the DL, because we're like, no, we got to go over to the neighborhood
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
people are and be like, what's really going
What's
on?
going on? Yeah. Give me the
We on the DL.
DL.
Yeah.
I love that. And, I also love that you are, willing to address issues head on. And you even recently hosted events such as like the Justice and Journalism Forum. You even host the Lexington Book Festival. How do you think these gatherings strengthen your connection to the community?
Well, I think they, in a lot of ways, they strengthen our knowledge of the community, the community
Mm.
conversations that we had, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll have more. Really, that was an invitation for the community to tell us what they think about Davidson Local and what they need, and also for us to explain to them. We were getting a lot of requests to do things. We're confined by some rules.
Yeah.
Again, First Amendment rights come with First Amendment responsibilities. So we're not TikTok, and we can easily be, subject to libel and slander laws that I don't think people understood. So just
Uh-huh.
because you call me and tell me that your
Mm-hmm.
neighbor is doing this doesn't mean that I can report it.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not a ring until like three people tell me that, and then I'll say, okay, there's community concern about that. So we wanted to really let folks know what our challenge is and where
Yeah.
we are, because we get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of nonprofit requests to run multiple stories. And most newspapers will tell you we're running a preview, or we're covering it. We don't typically have the resources in our business models now in the newspaper world to do both.
Well, and speaking of things that people want to know, kind of wrapping things up here, they might want to know that you are going to have a podcast coming up, Boots on the Ground, that you are planning. You've got some other amazing things as well that you're looking to do around affordable housing, food access, healthcare information that you're going to be covering. But what can people expect to, receive in listening to the Boots on the Ground podcast?
Well, I probably, a lot like your podcast, we realize that younger folks are consuming information differently. And we want people to read the, affordable housing series that we're doing. Hopefully we can attract folks to reading the full information. But we do have a generation of folks that want to consume information quickly. And because we're digital, it just lends itself to that. So what we are working with Clifford Boot Benson, a lot of people know him as Boot in the community. And he had this idea about going out and going around and interviewing people, because we realized that the way that people, one day I saw him on TikTok and I said, I'm a journalist. So what makes you trust that information more than me? I've done my research. I'm accountable to other folks and entities, but people will believe what they see there faster than what they will see in a well-resourced publication.
Mm-hmm.
So we got in that conversation and he was like, I can ask people the questions. I can talk to people. And, because we're DL and we can do that,
Yes.
we want to be in the know, and we want folks in the community to feel like they can be in contact and talk about what their perceptions are. So especially when, like Dunbar, for example, Cassandra Lockhart did an amazing series for Davidson Local about Dunbar School. But there's
Mm-hmm.
always a swirling rumor about Dunbar that you're like, really? That's what you thought? Or is that, no, that's not what happened. So we don't know until we know.
Yeah.
And people don't know until we share.
That's
So
right.
that's kind of what we want to do, is have some boots on the ground. And because everybody calls him Boot, we're like, okay, he's excited about it.
Such a good, yes. Especially being right now where boots on the ground is literally like a thing. Like it is for real.
Got to get those boots on the ground. And we're not going to know what's happening or what. I mean, he's going to go to different communities throughout Davidson County and really just kind of like somewhat investigate a topic, like how you see people on online where they go and interview people and ask them questions. Then they'll address the question, or they'll say, here's what people think about what's going on. And this is why that happened and it's true, or that's not really factual. So that's kind of where we're going with it.
I love that. I'm like, I that sounds like something I would be wanting to get in on. Like, yes, because I love talking to people. Even, like the whole storyteller series, like that's what it's all about. It's just about being able to allow people to tell their stories, because when people tell their stories, then we get to see people from a completely different perspective and angle that we might not have until we took time to listen to hear their story. So,
and I feel like people open up. In your series, I learned stuff about people that I've known for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what they went through. And I feel like on a podcast or like this format that sometimes people open up more than they do even for print. I mean, I interview people all the time in journalism. I don't think they open up as much as they have in your podcast. So I love the series. I think it's an amazing idea. So our boots on the ground will focus on more of our issues. Like for affordable housing, Boot will go and interview tenants and talk to them about their experience. We're going to do a series about people who are unhoused and homeless or underhoused. So, housing has been a passion for me for a long time. And I served as an executive director of a housing organization in Lexington for 10 years.
Wow.
And the housing crisis still exists in a way that we really are wanting to help people understand, because a lot of folks don't know where the resources are, where they're going. And, we're just trying to get to the bottom of some facts that we know are true. We have opportunities here. How can people get access to those opportunities?
Absolutely. And it is so crucial, especially now. Well, just to close things out, for listeners who want to support independent local journalism, what would you say is some of the best ways for them to get involved and to contribute?
Well, I think send us story ideas, please. Follow Davidson Local, subscribe for free at the top, or no, I think it's the bottom of our page. It is the bottom of our website. You can subscribe for free and get an email every day with the most recent news and somewhat more recent news, but we have to feed the beast every day. So you'll get a story every day. And then as far as support goes, advertise with us. I mean, we really are community driven, and we're doing this because the community wants it. But we need community support. And if we have an opportunity to partner, we're willing to sponsor things in exchange for media and advertising opportunities, because we really do want to have boots on the ground. So subscribe. Those are big things. And also, if you want to throw some advertising in there, we will accept that and be gracious.
Well, I know I absolutely utilize the service myself. I get my Davidson Local inbox every single day, and I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about journalism, Davidson Local, what's coming on, and celebrating your 4-year anniversary, because that is something to be celebrated. So
we're up to 95. Well, our average is 95,000 unique visitors in a month. But if we could get 5,000 more this month, we would be really happy to celebrate that milestone. We have a press club. We call them press club members that we do some VIP stuff with. So if anybody wants to join, it's $20 to join, but you really get the DL for the DL. Like, we give the behind the scenes of stories, and they'll get a link to this recording as well.
Perfect. Yes, I need to join. Actually. Oh, this is awesome. Well, listen, you guys, we'll have all of the resources down in the description. Go out, subscribe for free to Davidson Local, support, join that VIP club. And my little one is giving me she's basically like saying, all right, mom, let's go. So what I am going to do is I am going to thank each and every one of you for taking time out to listen to this story and hearing about Davidson Local. And what I want to encourage you to do is, if you have not done so already today, I want you to stop, take a moment, find a reason to laugh, and keep smiling. Until next time, stay blessed.